I want to say something about compliance. You know, it's so easy to be compliant because it's like putting the head in the sand like an ostrich. If Mordecai would have been compliant, you know, when Mordecai in the book of Esther, and he heard about the predicament that the Jews are going to be all annihilated during the 13th of Adar, the month of Adar, which is the month we are in now, then he put on mourning, sackcloth, and ashes. And he began to wail in the middle of the streets. He wailed at the gate of the king, so much so that Queen Esther sent him a message with the eunuch and said, "Stop wailing. Here, take nice clothes. You're at the gate of the king. What are you doing?" And he said, "No," and he wailed even more, "because I cannot stop weeping for the destruction of my people." But he didn't end up in the wailing and the mourning and the sackcloth and the ashes. He called on Queen Esther that was positioned for such a time as this and said, "You've got to go into the king. Use your pull. Use your influence. Get in there." And of course she said, "No, I haven't seen the king in a month and he hasn't called me and maybe he doesn't like me anymore. And besides, I'm really terrified." And he said, "Well, if you don't, then deliverance will come to the Jews from another place. But maybe you and your family have come, maybe you have come to the kingdom for such a time as this, because if you do not, then you and your family will perish. You and your Persian family will perish," because she was married into the Persian king by then. And so we need to realize here that there is the mourning, there is the wailing, and I've gone through it. I mean, in Judaism, we know how to mourn. We do not hide the mourning under the ground. When my son died, for example, then people came all around us, and I sat on a mattress for 7 days. It's called Shiva, like the book of Job, for 7 days, and people would come to comfort us and bring us food and take care of us. Of me personally as the mother, the first line of mourning. And so we know how to mourn. And the mourning is super important. We've got to mourn. What you're doing is a prophetic thing. You are mourning for what the whole church should be doing. Because the whole church should be mourning right now. But the church should be mourning. As usual, it's for the Jew first and then for the Greek. Mourning for the predicament of what's happening to Israel, to the Jewish people, for the anti-Semitism, for the destruction that has happened, and then for the Ukrainians, for the Christians, for everybody else as well, because that's the order of things. But after the mourning, and after we wail and we blow the shofar and we call the attention, then comes the intervention.
Yes.
And the church is called to be like an Esther for an intervention. And it starts with prayer, with fasting, and then approaching the government. Approaching the king, right? Not only the King of Kings, but the government too.
Amen.
That's powerful and beautiful.
Wow.